Welcome to another episode of the Metal Roundup, and today we have a very special guest. Now, before I introduce them, we will be talking about some new music releases, not Sleep Token, shockingly. There's other things going on.
We'll find
some
a way.
Some people will be very excited about that. Yeah. But today we are honored to have a very special guest in Alexander Kerski, the vocalist of Vianova, has joined us in full getup, sir.
The best dressed
you?
man
Yeah.
in the scene. The best
Making us
dressed
look
man
like
in the scene.
bums.
Yeah, Jesus.
What up, what up? I'm
The
here
goat.
to flex on two reactors.
Yeah, I know.
No, just kidding.
Join us up.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
just
I'm
kidding.
shades
Oh, yeah, way to make an impression. No, I'm super stoked to be here. I have to give you like my best regards from our bandmates, from my bandmates who aren't here because they are like a big fan of all of y'all and they love the format. You know, it's just very fun
Yeah.
for us all to just like see firsthand what the music does to people, good and bad. You know what I mean? So I'm happy
Yeah.
to be here, and I'm a serious yapologist. So
Fucking go.
You and Drew both, so
Yes. We're going to just
Yeah.
mold like this. You know what?
Yeah.
I feel a little bit left out here. The shades are here. I'm kind of like, do I get involved? I mean, come on. It would be rude not to.
Dude.
I actually can't see anything now, but we'll see how long I can last, okay? This is
How
my
does
you
it
poker
look
face.
feel?
blind.
I feel blind. I am blind. But we'll see how long we can go, okay?
I feel like I've joined some kind of online poker game.
Yeah, or something, eh?
All right, poker face is on. Well,
Now,
it's an
I suppose
absolute
before we
pleasure,
get
Alex.
into, yes, we're so delighted to have you. I mean, we're going to chat Vianova, of course, but like otherwise, let's have a little recap of what's been going on in our lives before we get into those bits and pieces. Burb, you've been away for a week or so. You've actually had a little bit of a break. How are you doing? Do you feel refreshed?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I know everything's happening like last minute trying to play catch up, but it seemed like a pretty busy week that I missed. You know, there was new tracks from like Fallen Reverse, Electric Callboy, which I checked out, and some drama happening in the scene, which I'm sure we'll get into. But no, I had a great time being offline. Like, man, I recommend it to all you guys. Just take a week, like barely go off your phone. You feel so good afterwards. But it's nice to be
Also-
back. Just saying.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were just offline and staring at the wall. It looked like you were in a lovely place.
Oh, I
too.
looked at mountains. Yeah, no, I was in British Columbia, so I was seeing a gorgeous part of Canada. So I had a fantastic time.
Lovely. Good stuff. Drew, what about yourself? What have you been doing the last week or so?
I'm trying to maintain this character that I'm playing, but I haven't really thought about the character yet, so I'll just be me with glasses on, okay? Yeah, I've been good, man. Music-wise, going to see Calandra tomorrow. It's my first gig in a while. Very much so looking forward to seeing that. Yeah, I've been a fan of these guys for a while. So also bringing the missus with me as well. That's going to be an interesting experience. She actually does like Calandra, to be fair, but I know they go a little bit heavier at times, so it'll be interesting to see how that's received.
Who's
They
opening?
have on their newest album. I actually don't know. I think it might just be Calandra. The doors open at 8 p.m., which is quite late, I guess, from gigs that I've been to in the past in this venue. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. So that's me. That's really it. Looking forward to that. Just been keeping up with all the newest releases. There's been so much happening. May has been outrageous. And
fucked.
Alex here has
Sounds
been a big
insane.
part of that, which we can get into, of course. But
Yes, of
it's
course.
been too overpowered. Way too overpowered.
You know what else is overpowered? Your sunglasses. I don't know if I can handle this, man.
But look,
No, I don't know.
Steve,
I don't,
He looks like
it
the
sounds like I'm
Daredevil
saying that in a good
dude.
way.
That's it. You know the Daredevil show?
I actually
Netflix?
cannot see you guys.
That's what I'm
Kinda
saying.
nice.
You look like the blind dude from Daredevil,
Yeah.
or the main guy.
All I can see is the screen beside me with the sheet open, and it's just completely white. I can barely see anything on it. So if you
Take
want,
those
as a
things
collective, I'll take a
off.
vote, and I will take them off.
It's funny that Alex is wearing sunglasses too, but he looks way cooler.
Oh, yeah.
it's because they're transparent. I
Alright,
think
that's
it's
it.
just the
Yeah.
color. No. Keep them out. You know, the thing is,
no.
the coolness it comes with time. You have to grow into the
Do
role.
you know
So
what?
just don't
You're
give
right.
up.
I'm
See,
not
even
gonna bow
Alex
down
is
to
a bit
this.
into it.
I'm not going to bow down to this pressure, all right?
Fuck
We're
yeah!
staying on. Okay, let's go. Alex is our guest here, so I will go.
One
with
down,
Alex,
two
okay?
to go. So
Yeah.
you guys will be wearing sunglasses
We're
at the
just
end.
jealous. Yeah, we're just jealous. That's what's
Yeah.
going on, Steve and I.
Yeah. What about you, Steve? What's been going on in your world?
Interviews, lots of interviews. It's been a busy week. I interviewed Rory from Dayseeker a few days ago. That was lovely. What a gent. And then Lauren Babick, also had a good chat with her.
Nice.
Nice.
And tomorrow, all being well, I should be interviewing Sharon from Within Temptations. There's been a lot of interviewing. And then I went to Slam Dunk Festival a few days ago and saw just the most nostalgic bands. It's like a day to remember, playing some old school
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Saw Finch, The Starting Line, Newfound Glory, Blessed Jake.
Oh, what?
The Used.
So
was fucking
pop punk.
sick.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was awesome. And Electric Callboy as well, who were unfucking believable.
Incredibly good band live. Yeah.
Alex, have you
Fun
heard much of
fact.
the Electric Callboy stuff?
Sorry, fun fact about Electric Callboy. I just heard that they're like the second biggest international touring artist from Germany. Just fun fact.
Who's the first?
Rammstein?
Rammstein.
Rammstein, yeah, Rammstein.
Wow. Second to Rammstein.
Nice.
That's crazy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Germans as well. Yeah, I forgot about that. You guys with that connection. Have you got any connection with the band at all? With that German connection at all? Or?
Us?
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, Kevin, the like unclean vocalist shout or whatever, like he follows us on Instagram, and he's like our post
sick.
like 3 times, so we're like low key gonna open for them.
Oh,
Wow.
That's awesome.
No, I don't know.
I can see that.
Manifest.
But if he's
You
a
guys
fan, if
better,
he's
that'd be
watching,
sweet.
yeah. And also it would be like what's funny is Electric Callboy, like almost 10 years ago, was the first metal band I ever saw live. It was the first time me hearing screams live, which was at a free festival,
Wow.
and they were like called Eskimo Callboy and like different lineup of singers and stuff like that. And so yeah, that was funny.
Shit.
You saw that and went, that's a bit of me. I'm going to start a band.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, it was weird. No, I was 15. I was like, what the fuck is this? But it was kind of cool and scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, something happened there probably.
I mean, speaking of what the fuck is this, what is the knitted thing on your mic?
That's swagger, Steve. Look at this. Oh, it's
Yeah,
a fucking
so-
person. It's a little jacket.
Yeah,
not a
this is
person.
it's a frog, I think. It's a frog. Shout out my girlfriend. She made this for me.
Oh, that's
Very
It's
cute.
adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have a very sore arm by the end of this podcast with holding that. I decided to do that for a few streams before where I just held the microphone and it was my biggest regret ever.
5 hours, man.
He's used to it.
Now, let's have a chat about Vianova, because it's been an incredibly exciting year already, I would say, for certainly increasingly artists are doing interesting, innovative, experimental things. You're not new to that, though. Like, I was thinking in my head, the first song I heard of yours was Hypersomniac. And I was like, it's a very brilliantly executed metalcore track. But actually, I re-listened to that today, and there's some interesting movements in there that are kind of unexpected. You were going even more so in the experimental phase with some of your songs, and it's turning heads here and there. The one I want to start talking about, though, is Whatever All Right, which I shit you not is right now my favorite song of the year. And Sleep Token released songs this year. That it's fucking phenomenal. When you've clearly done a lot of different kind of songs with the new releases. They're all quite varied and different. Have you had any of them that have been released pegged as, oh, this one's going to land, this is going to go, people are going to enjoy this more maybe than the others? Or do you just not really know until you release?
I will answer, but before that, I have to take a step back, and just like add that for me, like you guys being like, this song is so good or so crazy or like my favorite, that's for me is really crazy because you guys listen to a lot of music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for us to land an impression with you guys, and I'm not like trying to, kiss your ass or anything. It's just that you are, you listen to so much. That's a really big compliment for me because then we know like we did something right. So yeah, and second of all, with how things are performing or landing, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you have a feeling that something could vibe well with people. With this one, I showed it to a friend of mine. He was like, "Oh, this song's gonna do well," and it's like short, it's quite concise and tight, so like it makes sense for me. But there are things that worked well for us in the past where I couldn't have anticipated it. And like Hypersomniac was one of those. Because like, it's not that it's not a good song, but like that era of our band, like there were a lot of songs that I was really stoked about. And with that song specifically, like what made it really blow up, and one person that is responsible for that is like sitting in this round, it's Metal Burp. So like also shout out to you because you literally put us on the map, like literally like that was you. And with your Hypersomniac reaction back like 2 years ago or something, it was the breakdown that just went crazy. And like I remember like we finished the breakdown even like a few days before we had to hand in the files, and it was like kind of unfinished. Like I had this idea of the final thing, but I know that like Paul, our drummer, was skeptical, so we were like tinkering in the rehearsal room. And I had a different idea for like the vocal that goes into the breakdown. And then they were like, oh no, you just just do a long vocal, just do a like long fucking scream. And I was like, that's so lame, that's just maybe, that's so standard. I can't do it. Okay, no, I'll do it. No, it's okay with everything happening before. But like for me, that wasn't that exciting. And like when the stuff went viral, like when the song and the breakdown went viral, like people were going crazy, like specifically for the breakdown, but also like for the scream, which for me was kind of like, okay, I guess, right? So there's this weird factor, and you guys can probably relate with like content where you will post something or like show something to the world and you will think like, oh, I feel very strongly about this. I think this will do well, and it doesn't. And sometimes there's just stuff you can't anticipate and it just goes wild. And like with whatever, all right. Sorry, I'm yapping so much.
Please,
still good. Yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead, man.
Yeah. I'll just finish quickly with whatever, all right. I mean, there's always the chance that stuff works in the way that's intended. But one thing about like being a small band like us, I feel like I still very much have the underdog mindset of like, I don't expect stuff to work. You know what I mean? Just because I've been like, stuff has not worked out like most of the time. Yet, we're not at the point where we are used to success, even though like we are doing well for our level, I guess, in a way. So I'm like kind of like optimistic, pessimistic in a way. So like I put in the work, and when something works, I'm like, cool, this is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point to consider. Then also like with Hypersomniac, I appreciate the compliment that we check out so much music, because it was like, we roughly like maybe 50 songs a week or something that we check out. And I remember checking out Hypersomniac. It was like a couple months old or something. It wasn't like a brand new song.
1 year old, man.
There you go. Yeah, 1 year old. So it does like it. The thing that's interesting that someone just put it on my Twitch page, and I checked it out, and I'm like, this scream was pretty sweet. It was my favorite song from that stream, so I just clipped it. But then it's TikTok. The algorithm just ate it up. That long scream just worked. And it's funny because like even if you like put out a song like whatever, all right, if it's like, oh man, we want it to perform even better, maybe a year later someone will recognize that song and put it on the map too. So you never know. Like I feel like a lot of your songs have that longevity. Like I even checked out some of your first EP. The intro song with the Spanish guitar solo is so sick. You guys have been experimenting for like close to 10 years now. And actually that's a question that I want to ask, because like what is like the end goal, or well, not really end goal, but what is like the mission that you're trying to do with Vianova? Because like every song is different, and is that what you guys are trying to do, trying to make like a new song every time, or is there like a specific thing that you guys are trying to achieve with Vianova?
I will answer this as well, but I also think I have to take a step back before. Like one thing that I think is really cool about the Hypersomniac thing going viral like 1 year after, and other stuff is like for me, and also like the algorithm just picking up other stuff and you listening to the back catalog and being like, oh yeah, this is also really cool. Like for me, it really shows that in the end, it is still about music, And I think this will be something that you all agree with. It's probably easy to get cynical with like the landscape of content and just like shitting out stuff and, just clipping and whatever, and people doing stuff for that. I think in the end, if you still like manage to make cool stuff, and someday people may find it, and if they dig your back catalog, then they will listen to that as well. So yeah, sorry, just small sentimentality here on that end. And then and the next well, like what's the end game with Vianova? I think it's like for me that's really interesting, right? Because like you guys, or with you have the outside perspective, right? And for us, like you also like have the ability to go back and like tell a story about like what you're hearing, like, and with what for us it was really like we didn't know what would come, so there wasn't really like the big master plan way back when we did that first EP. And I think if I would summarize it, like first and foremost, Vianova is probably like it's more it sounds so cringe, but like I guess in a way I know we have kind of this philosophy, and it's kind of implied in the name. It sounds so cringe, man. Fuck, I can't. But like Vianova is Latin for like new way. It says new way, like new lane, right? And I wouldn't like that's just by accident. Like, I don't think anybody in the band like thought about it when we picked the name, but like the more I thought about it, in the end, it was like, with everything we do, like we're not like huge, like we're not, you know, we're not doing everything new. Like the last songs we did, like the last two EPs, that's metalcore, man. You know,
Yeah.
heard a million times. Lance Prance like produced it. You know, the producer from Alpha Wolf and Polaris. It's not like it's crazy. You know, we're not some avant-garde fucking crazy ass noise band. But in a way, I think like we do have this core value of like taking the extra mile, even if it's with small ideas. And it's just because that's exciting for us. Like, I don't like want to make like that big virtue out of it and be like, that's why we're so great. It's just like, that's what we like. That's what cool. And I also like have huge respect for people that are just like, that want to make the best product. You know, if you're a songwriter, you're like, okay, let's make the biggest metalcore anthem that checks all the boxes, but it's better than like the last one. I think that's also hard to do because there's so much. So like, I don't want to be like, okay, we're objectively doing this better. It's just like, that's what's fun to us. And like, if something's fun and exciting, I think then the end product will ultimately be cool, because best case, you can hear it in the music, and you know, people will also think that it's fun and exciting.
Definitely. You guys are like a smorgasbord of music, or
What's
like
that?
it's just like a variety of things. Or like, okay, how about like a box of chocolates, like Forrest
Yeah.
Gump? You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think like even like with this newer stuff, it's probably exaggerated a lot.
But like, to give you some credit as well, I'm only relatively new to your sound. I'm pretty sure I've only heard like 4 of your songs in total, because I guess the beauty and the curse of doing reaction videos and stuff is that you don't get to delve into full band discography. Because I've liked what you guys have done, I want to binge all your music, but at the same time, I want to have time to actually sit down and get to it as well, because there could be some crazy moments in it that I'm like, oh my God, this is so sick. But I guess to give you guys some credit as well, because you're being very humble about the whole package, but like in a I suppose quickly changing environment within the metal space, with I guess people seeing the rise and like the amount of like Sleep Token-esque bands we're seeing, like with the Masks, the Hidden Identities, President coming out. You guys have a completely unique aesthetic. Like, I mean, it's on screen right now. It's beautiful. I guess because I'm only relatively new, I don't know if I've missed the whole explanation at some point, but what is the Vianova swagger? Like, what characters or whatever it is are you guys portraying? Because it's a statement.
Well, I think if you, I really thought about like what I want to say before coming here. Not a lot, but just like a little bit. And I think with stuff like this, I really appreciate the question, and I really appreciate just like the interest. But I think like stuff like this, like if you want to know what this band is about, like just take a deep dive and like just take the time. But that's something, you know, do it in a year, or when you can enjoy it, or like when you really feel like the need and the emotion to. Because like what I want Vianova to be is like, you know, we're doing the socials and the you know, the quick stuff, but in the end, if you like Vianova, I want you to be able to just like, you know, take a look and find something, and also like make your own story, because I think that's the beautiful thing about art, which art has, which maybe content doesn't. Like, best case, it sticks with you and you get to integrate it in your life where it means something to you that's very specific. So if we're just a cool looking band, we're a cool looking band, and if you like, you know, catch the other clues, what this is about, then you know, you catch it.
Yeah.
So.
But
I hope that's okay.
No, that's fine. Like, I mean, it does. Like, yeah, you're a cool looking band, but I guess there is bands that might look cool, but there's something that feels a little bit inauthentic about it. It's like, okay, they're now all of a sudden wearing masks, or this is happening because this has happened. But I don't get that impression at all with you guys at all. Like, it feels very authentic. And
I feel
especially
like
seeing your socials, you guys have a lot of fun. You guys have a lot of fun with stuff, you know?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel like in the end, it's just, I feel like what makes the difference is like being able to abstract a little bit, right? Because like with the Sleep Token thing, we're talking about Sleep Token, guys. Sleep Token podcast.
So disappointed.
Let's
Go on. Go on.
Yeah.
Trojan horse
The
that one.
Sleep Token Roundup. Let's go.
Which one of Vessel's apps is the best? This is like the top left one or top right? We'll pick your favorite.
I'm sure many people online have that answer.
Yeah. I know. No, but like, what did I want to say? Like with the Sleep Token stuff, I was like anticipating it. You know, back when like shit blew up, I was like, okay, now we get like it happens all the time. You know, band gets popular and people are being inspired, but like just because it's so popular, like a lot of people are getting inspired, and then you know it it kind of feels old fast, I
Yeah.
guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, inspiration is not the issue. It's just probably the volume of people being like directly inspired. But yeah, I think like a very handy tool for probably like every interesting artist to have, like in my opinion, not objective fact, is just like to have the ability to abstract a little bit, just like take the next step around the corner. You know, that's the way like you can steal basically anything and make it your own, like steal like an artist, blah blah blah. We've heard it, but like, you know, just be like, okay, I like this specific aspect. You know, if you're like, okay, I like Sleep Token, I like things to be mysterious, maybe. So like, what is my version of being mysterious? Like, I'm not mysterious. I like to yap and talk and be loud. But like, if that's something you resonate with, you could be inspired from Sleep Token or maybe build your own world, but it will probably feel fresh if you just do the extra step and interpret it in your way. And like, if you don't have that, it probably won't have the same effect if that's something you're looking for.
Yeah.
You certainly would struggle to have longevity if you tie yourself very closely to something that's come before, because people will just, the more closely comparative you are to them, they will see the comparison and go, you are lesser. But if you take the inspiration, do something else, you can kind of, I can see some roots of where they want to come from, but you're your own thing, then you can build something kind of unique. And that's what everyone's essentially done. Like Sleep Token is not completely a thing that's never happened before. Like they're drawing inspiration from bands before them and all that. So it's kind of taking it to a new direction. That's where the gold lies. And the more you can do something that is different, then you have the chance of becoming a band that eventually headlines festivals. Like the ones that are copycats, they don't end up being the notable bands that can headline like a download festival, for example. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
Hot take. I was just going to say, hot take. President is actually that copycat to me with Sleep Token, and to me, it just feels too on the nose of what they're trying to be. Even they said like, get your presidential clothing or something. Like it just had the same kind of lingo to grab your merch. I'm like, this is so Sleep Token. Like,
yes, the marketing tropes are very similar. And there's moments in the music you can hear the kind of influence there. But at the same time, I don't see it as that much of a direct comparison in terms of, we've only had one song. But like the song itself doesn't sound that directly compared.
Yeah, I'm talking about the marketing specifically, not really the song sound.
But other bands have done similar things. Like Void of Vision, a band I fucking loved. They're no longer a band at this stage. They're amazing. But then a couple of years after Sleep Token was starting to launch, or a year or so, they started... I swear their social media changed a little bit. It's like it was all a bit more obscure, like come to your ritual type of thing. I was like, don't co-opt that now. Like do your own thing. You were doing great. And I kind of struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Hot take too.
Oh
no, it's
hot
not
takes
bad.
are welcome here, sir. You go.
No, it's just a little bit hot. Well, it's not a hot take. It's maybe a warm take. I think that like, you know, just how's it copying? You know, it's an inherent just part of music and art. So I guess it will, you know, it just depends how you copy, right? So that will always be okay. And I think you probably can like just rip something off like straight up. But like then I think you get in the territory where you have to compete hard and just like be the best. Like I think if like the probability is not high, but if we had a band that would like be exactly like Sleep Token, but improve on it in every way, like more apps, more mysterious, more mysterious, better lore, better writing. You know, you get fucking George R. R. Martin, and he like writes the lore for for the new band. Like the music for some reason it's even catchier, and you know, I'm not thinking that this will happen. It's just hypothetical. That maybe there's the probability of it even like being a bigger thing. That's just something where I notice, not with Sleep Token, it's just a dumb example, right? But like there are some bands I think in the metal sphere that they don't really have a lot of memorable identity, but like everything else is so like well made and competitive and so big. I'd argue, maybe I don't know, is this beef? No, it's not. But like I'd argue like something like Falling in Reverse falls into that category where it's just like. It's just like the biggest, grandest, most biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the way how like, you know, this shows like they have the hottest fire and the best lineup of live musicians and like the best writers for the songs and 1 million. You know what I mean? It's like very big. And that's how I feel like that's how I feel like it works. Yeah, you could argue with that, and maybe Ronnie Radke will now make a TikTok about me. I don't know.
Probably.
He's
He's going to come for you.
podcast.
right? So
That'd be no bad thing, you know. It'll light you up, and then you can
Yeah.
do battle online.
You guys would have an absolute field day on the Vianova Instagram with that content. That would be.
Oh
I hope
my
this
God,
happens
yeah.
now. You guys would
That's
kill it with that stuff.
I'd much rather like do constructive stuff, but like if that happens,
No, I hear
you
you.
know,
Yeah.
Speaking of the
if that
content and
happens,
the marketing stuff, that's one thing I want to like compliment you guys on, is that I really respect, I guess from a content creator's perspective, the amount of content that you guys make alongside your music, because there's so many bands that I really like that like I feel like they haven't posted anything in a year. And it's not like they're trying to be mysterious. It's almost like they're just kind of being like lazy. And then all of a sudden they like drop a single like, oh, this band is back, I guess. But like the hype, it also kind of dies down a little bit. But you guys really like, with each new song, you put effort into like TikToks and actually creating content around it. And I just want to say I respect that.
yeah, thanks. I mean, I also respect not doing it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm very,
Yeah.
but I get what you mean. It's just like I've been like, if you've asked me 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would have been like, fuck yeah, but we're doing the content. But like one thing I noticed now, like we just played 4 gigs, and one thing I noticed was like, you know, we put a lot of time into content, and now that we're playing again, like it was fun, but I noticed like it feels more unnatural in a way. And I know that if I would have spent like 1 year playing gigs instead of just doing content, but that's normal. You have times where you're like, you know, you're just doing online more and writing and promoting and blah, blah, blah. And then you're playing. But like, I was like, fuck, man, you know, there are other, like I have musician friends who are like, no, I won't do that shit. You know, I want to be a real fucking artist. And like one thing that is so like just hit my brain so hard is just like the discrepancy between like what gets you to the good, better shows, which is content, obviously, and like actually being able to perform at those shows, which is playing the shows. You know, that's a huge challenge. Sorry that I'm derailing all of that. I've just been so present in my mind. So like before I was like, why is nobody like just doing content? And now that we're just trying to spin all the plates, now that we're like starting to rehearse again, play live, release content, like I'm like, fuck, this is exhausting.
Yeah.
Is it like a team effort that you guys have with the content, or is it like one guy is kind of spearheading all of the ideas and you guys just follow along?
Yeah, it's pretty much me, I guess.
You? Okay.
Yeah.
It's some of the like I know Burb's already said it, but I've lolled very hard at some of those videos. The Fluent in Gent is one of the most creative, hilarious videos I've fucking seen on Instagram in a long time.
Thanks. But that's where I have to credit, like it's not like I do, like I plan all of it and I edit all of it, and like a lot of stuff, like I take like how do you say it? I take the wheel on it, and sometimes we do like brainstorming sessions because it's important for everybody to have a say, right? And I think like with the Gen thing, it's just Paul sold it, you know. So he sold it. Like he's just, he's not a big internet guy, but sometimes if you put him in front of a camera, like good shit happens.
Yeah, sometimes they're the funniest videos when it's like someone who's not really that comfortable in camera, and then it's like just go, and it just becomes gold. But have you guys, Stephen Burb, have you seen the Fluent in Gent video?
No, I've seen the, hey man, you got some breakdowns? And he's like, yeah, he's got some over there. Are you a cop?
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one, yeah.
There's just so many funny, like I've never seen more creative ways, because it's like you're Trojan horsing your own music into a very good meme. It's like the meme is already hilarious by itself, and then it's like, oh, I also get a sick song at the end of it. It's like the perfect style of content. But
thanks.
the Fluent in Gent one, just please, anyone who's watching this, do yourself a favor, just find it, Fluent in Gent on Instagram Reels. I lolled at that. The the other one where it was like you were doing like one of the like stereotypical YouTube pickup lines where you go up to like a random girl and you like talk to them in the park, and it's like, hey, and then she's like, it's like, yeah, I'm just a musician or whatever, and then you go back to the car and she sees the car. Just that joke was just the way he's executed that. And then at the end, it's like, there's the riff. I'm like, it's funny because most bands are like, get to the song as quick as possible. But you guys do like a minute skit and then they're just like 10 seconds of the song. It's so good. But it works. It clearly works, you know?
Yeah. For content, if you haven't seen that, like Burb and Steve, we just did the Gold Digger car prank. But
the Gold Digger one, that's what it is.
Because we had the Mustang, rented.
Yeah.
Oh, with the Mustang, that's clever.
Yeah. I mean, it's all of this is so interesting for me, right? Because like I still view this very much from and you all guys, you can probably relate, right? For me, like the performance aspect in terms of numbers is quite important there, because like with music, I'm all artist, you know what I mean? I just like music, like I don't care what the numbers are or like what the perception is, like music first, but like with content in a way, it's we're making an effort for people to see it. So, and like the shit is so new, and we're just experimenting so much. So I can't even. And we're just trying, new stuff all the time. But like with this stuff, it's really interesting because, like, for instance, we also like had those story lore videos, or like we still have those in a way.
Yeah.
Maybe you haven't seen them just because they haven't done as well as like other bigger
one
ones. Yeah, we had those story videos, and like in a way it was so hard because like those I spent so much time on, like scripting them out. Like the edit was very tedious. Also, like for Mas Rapido, our first single, we like did 5 of them. And like for Wheel of Fortune, we also did 5. And like, so there was so much planning and props involved. And like it kind of felt like they didn't do anything. You can have one meme, it blows up the song. It's so much more effective. And like, it's kind of like, I don't know, I like them and I like to tell the story, but like, I can't justify like spending 50 hours for one run of videos and like those not doing well. Just, I could have spent those 50 hours on something else. But like in a way, like it's still, there's still passion involved and I still like it, but we're not movie makers. And also it's cool to see because like there were some fans who were like, when do we get new Vianova lore, or with like the Gold Digger prank, where for me, technically in a way it was a failure just because like I know it didn't like convert well to the song, but like it still builds the brand. So I'm like, I don't know, So, and you're like still like, oh, I saw it, it's cool. So maybe there's also like value to that. It's really hard.
That's what I was going to say is that I completely understand, and I'm sure Steve and Burb will understand that as well. From experience with content creation, it is always, for the most part, 95% of the time, the videos that you put your heart and soul into, that you'll find that you just feel the most disappointment with, whereas you'll just shit out some random video that will get 100,000 views and you're like, okay. Yeah. So to your point about like videos flopping as well, it's kind of just like a mindset shift as well, because obviously you can get so inundated with like numbers and stuff. And sometimes if a video gets like 20,000 views, that becomes like your new baseline. And then you kind of forget that even like 5,000 views, 2,000 views, like it's still a lot of people. And if you are putting a lot of effort into like content that is very high quality, even if it is just 2,000 people, 500 people, those 500 people will see that. And that's creating a much stronger fan base without you even really realizing it over time, because I appreciate the effort going into that. So for me, I can see the effort, so it's not always just about every video getting 100,000 views. It's more of a collective thing. You can see the effort is there in everything you guys are doing.
Yeah. And I also feel like I have to also, first of all, it's super interesting to get your perspective on that. And I would also like be happy to hear like Burb's and Steve's perspective on that and like what it does to you, like since it's like you're doing it so much, probably much more than we are, right? But I also like I want to mention that with those numbers, for if there are any musicians watching or just people, like it's not about like being a cloud goblin, it's just that I don't care about like likes or likes or followers.
Great.
You set me.
Yeah, it's all right. Likes or followers, like or just like the metrics per se, is just like that we know that those are like just just a segue to like actually getting people to listen. Like that's what we care about the most. So like if I spend time like talking about any of those, don't think like, or it's a weird, he's like a musician but he's talking about Instagram. No, it's just that's the avenue how we get people to listen to the music, and obviously that's something we want to do. Just had the need to mention that. But Burb, Steve, like what's your take on this? How do you deal with like are you like fucked in the head, or like are you good?
I deal with it every day. Yeah, like it's funny because like I just recently watched this like little short of Conan O'Brien talking about self-doubt and how he says it never goes away, even with him being super successful and someone that I totally respect and admire. And yeah, so every day there's always this little bit of self-doubt, I guess, sometimes that can creep in. And when videos don't perform well, it can get to me. I'm just like, especially, videos that I put so much effort into and then they just absolutely tank. And then I just do this quick reaction video that's on a popular band and it blows up. And so like Sleep Token, for example, the Sleep Token is doing so well for numbers. And I'm glad because I love the band too. So it's a win-win. But unfortunately, the Sleep Token viewers, like when I do other bands, they won't stick around for it, and it's so hard to figure out those ways to do it. And chasing that dopamine that dopamine hit with views, I think it's a dangerous way to go about it. So I agree with Drew that you have to kind of change your mindset and just be glad and have gratitude for even like the 2,000 views, 5,000 views, because sometimes that's more important. People who have like inflated subscriber counts, like 1 million subscribers, but get little to no views, that doesn't equal the same kind of value as someone who has 50,000 subscribers, but a very engaged community. So you have to like change your mindset and appreciate what you have and do it for the authenticity of what you actually enjoy and what you love. So I'm going to be doing like Sleep Token videos, but tomorrow I'm going to do a video for Ithaca, I think, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ithaca, but they did a farewell song that I cannot fucking wait to check out. But it's going to take. No one knows who this band is, but the people who do,
I know,
like
I know.
Yeah,
and they're
you know
sick.
them because you're keeping up with the scene. You know the good shit, and same with my community. They want me to check it out, so it's probably going to get like 2,000 views. But those 2,000 views are gold. Where like the 50,000 views I get from Sleep Token, maybe 10,000 of those views are actual people that absolutely love me, and 40,000 that are just kind of jumping from video to video. Which I love you guys still. Just saying, like
I have to add one thing to this. Sorry, but I also asked Steve, so I'm also like very interested to hear your perspective. But maybe like who knows? I mean, one thing, I don't know how aware of it you guys are, but I feel like right now you guys are very important for the scene, and like the platform you're giving is very important for the scene. And even though like sometimes you do a video on a small band nobody knows, and that video does like 5,000 views, and Sleep Token does a lot more, like those 5,000 like can mean a lot to that band, and that may be a band that hasn't gotten that amount of views or like eyes on them in the time. And also like you guys, like this thing is a new thing, right? This has, I don't know how, like you guys know how long you've been doing this, but probably like in the grand like scheme of things not as long as compared maybe to like somebody who works at a magazine who has been reviewing stuff for 20 years. So who knows like where you guys will be like in 10 years. And like one thing that I've noticed, like a trend that's been going on, and I feel like it has happened for you, where like you will post something or like talk about a band, and you're like in a position in the scene where just because you notice it and you hype it up, it like gives like kind of social proof, and people are like, oh, like Burb said that, that's the coolest song of the year, or like Steve, your reaction for whatever, or why it's doing super good. And like the name of our band is not, you can't really tell which band it is, and people are still clicking. So like you are at a point already where you are like making an impact, and maybe it's not the 100K views that a Sleep Token video does, but it's still like more, and people do care, and they will probably like, as much like if time goes on and you're building trust with your fan base, and people are like, yeah, if I go to like your guys' channel, I will get good music opinions, then people will show up. So like, yeah, kudos to you guys.
To give you credit again,
Appreciate
man.
that.
I know Steve still has to weigh in on this, but just before we go too far away on that one, but to give you guys credit as well, the lads can probably attest to this as well. There's been many times where maybe one of us has made a video on a particular band, and that might do quite well, but a lot of the time it doesn't cross over to other channels. It might just be kind of a one-hit wonder. But all of our reactions to the Whatever Alright track are all over 10,000 views on YouTube, which is pretty fucking rare, Like all of our videos are over 10,000 views, which is insane for, I guess, I don't know if I can call you guys a relatively small band anymore based on those numbers, because there's very few bands that are doing, like my Electric Callboy video has 10,000 views as well. Like you guys, I think, have over that,
Yeah,
so
yeah, that was
you guys are picking up
11,000 views. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
super interesting.
Because I seen Steve's video and I was like, fuck, I think Steve's video had like 8,000 views in one day. I was like, Jesus Christ, I need to check out this fucking song. And then I put mine out and I was like, mine will probably do like 2,000 or whatever. But again, like over 10,000 as well. It's just like, that shows to me that there's like this thing bubbling that is, everyone is actually really interested in you guys. It's not just like, obviously there's going to be some hyperbole in the title sometimes to kind of get people to watch the video, but that only works so far when the music isn't that good, because people are still interested in actually checking out the music, So that's credit to you guys as well. You're very humble in how you're talking about the band, but like you're bringing viewers to our channel now at this point as well. There's definitely people that are,
oh, okay. In that case, fuck you guys. I'm the guy talking now. I give you the viewers. You're my fucking bitches. Musicians, reactors. You guys are fucking down here. No, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
But I still want to hear Steve's. I don't want to go too far away from Steve's thoughts on everything. So off you go, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, you've alluded to this already, but trust is kind of everything. I think the reason why we're doing what we're doing longevity-wise is because we've built that trust over time. We're very honest, and that really helps, because what it means is that when I do put out a video where I'm like, this is fucking amazing, there is now an audience that's built over time going like, I trust that he's not clickbaiting me on this. And then they'll give it the time and check it out. And that's what the reason I've been able to do that, I'm sure it's similar for the lads, is like, I check out the songs I check out for all kinds of reasons. Either people request them or I'm interested in the bands, whatever it is. The ones that I put on the channel, the ones that I think are the most interesting that I want to shout about. And it doesn't matter to me whether that's Sleep Token, because I love that song, whatever it is, or it's something that's new, that's unheard. I want to shout about it. Like, I authentically want to talk about this stuff and share it. And that is what builds over time. And so the same thing can happen. Obviously, I do TikTok stuff. I'm not authentically like into making TikTok videos, but from your perspective as well, when you're making content for your band, is to try and drive people more to what is the authentic thing. Mm-hmm. But if I am going to do TikTok stuff or Instagram stuff, it's authentically the stuff I choose to really, I want to do that. I'll learn about how it works with the algorithm. I'll try and maximize things. And the same thing about YouTube. I will put out the videos of the music I want to share. Once I've checked it out, I'm like, I want to share this. Now I'm like, how can I maximize this? It's not what can I do to get the most views. It's now that I have this thing I love, what can I do with the thumbnail and the title to maximize it in an authentic way? And then that builds over time. And I've done this since I started the channel. And I've noticed that doing the unknown bands has gone from like 100 views a video to like 500 views a video to like 1,000 to now several thousand, because I'm building that trust over time. Mm-hmm. And that's key. But to Drew's point, people will click. People will click because they're like, I trust that he's not baiting me with this. This is going to be good. But if the song is particularly good, they're less likely to bounce off, which is what's happened clearly in the case of Whatever, All Right, as an example. And I'm sure other songs of yours as well. And it is difficult, because when we build a platform like we have, we now know that bands watch this. And you don't want to like be critical because like, well, they're watching. I don't want to hurt any feelings.
Do it.
That is difficult. Yeah, some people are very, very thin-skinned. So I've done a couple of reactions to your recent singles. I mean, like, this stuff I really love. This stuff I'm not really a big fan, and it's difficult to do that because I'm like, all I want to do is support and build. But I think the rest of it's so interesting. I want to shout about that. This is an interesting band, but then be honest about it. And then that means when the audience sees that and they see, they go, this song is a fucking song of the year. They're like, oh shit, I'm checking this out. And I really enjoyed your comments on videos. You're like, yeah, this got a bit weird, but you guess what? We're going to get weirder. And I'm like, great. Yeah. Continue to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just a normal part of, I think, doing something that is a little bit out of the box. You will get reactions where people will not like it. And I feel like the best case, we get a lot of people that are really into it and a lot of people that really hate it. That's probably a good place to be in. And I mean, I've already like told you this in comments or like written you a message about it. Like, Steve, I think you're still very respectful with your opinion. And also, I mean, there are people that are more harsh. I mean, Anthony Fantano, right? Sleep Token. We don't have to Sleep Token and podcast. Yeah. Don't have to beat around the bush, but like, I personally, I still watch Fantano. I like when he's talking about metal, I don't care because I'm like, okay, I think there's a lot of stuff like that he doesn't get, and that where, from all of us are probably like metal guys. We see things differently. And I think he has a very different, like he's coming from a very different angle. And you can tell when he's like reviewing a death metal album that sounds like ass, he's like, oh yeah, this is sounding raw and 10 out of 10 album. But like other things,
it's so true.
not bashing him, but like, there are other like genres where like, if he gives it a good rating, I'm like, I will check this out because I know that like when he's doing that, he's being genuine. So I think there is value to that. So like guys, like from a musician's perspective, I think you should do that. And just if you have criticisms, like be respectful, right? Yeah. And one thing that I don't like I think if somebody says, this is like not for me, I feel like that, I'm happy. What I hate is like when people are like, this should have been that, or like you did it wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because like if it's your perspective, I mean, there's stuff I hate too, of course. But like if you're like, oh, you should have like done it that way, or like this is wrong, it feels like icky.
How about I wish this happened or something, because I know I have a tendency to do that and I catch myself sometimes, but at the same time, like I don't know, I might hear a second verse of a song, and if it repeats the exact same as the first verse, to me that's like, oh, I wish they did something a little bit different there.
I mean, since you guys get your views from us, fuck you. No, no, just kidding. I don't know.
I like the honesty.
No, that's a good question actually, because like I catch myself there too, where like I listen to a song, like we like as a band in the car, we listened to stuff and we're like, oh, the intro was really good. I wish they would have like done this, or what did they do that? I don't know. Like, I think it's also okay to have expectations. You know what I mean? So like sometimes there are comments of people who are like, oh, I really love that song of yours, and now you're doing this and it really doesn't connect, and I really would have wished that it would have been different. I'm like, okay, but like there's a next step, which is like, and that's why it's asked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are like albums where I'm like, oh, okay, like I would have really liked if they would have continued with this sound, and like that doesn't connect. And I think it's totally fine to have like, if you're connected so much to something that you have, some kind of projected expectations on that thing. But yeah, I don't know.
It's okay to have opinions. That's fine. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's different if you're not doing it from a point of view of kindness. I think that's a difference maker. And also, for all we know, that artist who had a copy paste verse, that might be exactly what they artistically wanted to do. I really wanted this song to be kind of repetitive in that way, because that's the vibe I was going for. Like, we can say we prefer from our own opinion something different, but it doesn't mean it's incorrectly done.
You can't say it's right or wrong, which I never say, but it's just like, oh man, I wish this part was longer, I wish this bridge was longer or something. Like I say that quite a bit, but I never say like, yeah, this is what they should have done, or like, no, they did this wrong. That's where I can tell, because that's where it becomes like nothing is factual about this. And it comes with expectations of what you hear in music and what your experiences with music and what you prefer to, right?
Yeah, that's
weirdly the song Melancholic. Like, I enjoyed the vast majority of that song. I was like, this is fucking great. My own personal opinion, I was like, this is such a cool vibe. I just want to loop this forever. And you went in a different direction, like 3/4 of the way through, and then came back out of it. And like, I get that artistically, that's interesting and creative, but like me, selfishly, I just wanted to loop that vibe forever, you know?
I love that song.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add, thanks. There, maybe also like it's part of the like your whole format where you're doing. You have like the first impression. That's what is like featured the most with the reaction format. And sometimes sometimes things change over time. With Melancholic, yes. I have one of my best friends who's also a genius musician. Shout out Tom Fountainhead. Like I showed him Melancholic, and he was like, yeah, this is like nice, but like the riff, I don't know. I'm not like the riff isn't as strong, and I'm not really sure about the whole vibe. And like then, like that was like 1 year before the song came out, like demo stages, and like he's always very honest and respectful, and it's it's cool. And then like when we put the song out, like two weeks later, he hit me up. He's like, "Damn, I watched the music video, and now with the finished production, and I've, the song really grew on me, and now I really like it." So that's with the reaction stuff, maybe. Like, I mean, it's your channel, but at some point, maybe it's okay to like revisit something, like not Vianova, but maybe if there's a big album, like see like how you guys feel about it, because sometimes you just have to listen to stuff and be like, for instance, I don't want to yap too long, but like when I got into Dillinger Escape Plan, like I kind of forced myself to listen to them because fuck yeah.
Yes, they're fucking amazing.
Like, yeah, I was like, people are into this, and I forced myself to listen to Miss Machine for like a week, and I hated it for 5 days, and like on the 6th day, God spoke, and He was like, "You shall enjoy this album."
I think that's everyone's experience with that band. Like, I didn't go into it like, oh hell yeah,
I'm on day insane. 3. I still don't like it.
Yeah, it's so out there. But I think that's why they write the slower tracks too. What is the song on Miss Machine that's like a rock song? Whatever that one is, like that one's like a nice, easy song to get you into the album. And then the rest of the record you can enjoy.
Yeah. So Steve, what I'm saying is just keep listening.
Wait for Melancholic to become my favorite song of Vianova's of all time. That could be in the future. I mean, the band, one of my absolute favorite bands in the world right now is 156 Silence. And on first, like I really enjoyed their first song I heard, Better Written Villain. And then I liked a little bit less, but still kind of fucked with a single or two that happened afterwards. And I heard the album, I was like, I didn't really get it. It sounded a little repetitive, and I wasn't really sure. I gave it a solid. By the time I got around to posting the album reaction, my title ended up being like, this might be an album of the year contender, because I was in love with the thing, and now I cannot get enough of that band and that album. But it took growth, and it was what I love about music that grows on you. It is very rare for a song to grow on you and then grow away from you. It only compounds. I've not had a single artist that I've grown to love and then later on go like, I actually don't like these songs. It's never happened.
Yeah, maybe not as extreme as absolutely fell in love with it and then stopped liking it, but it definitely wears off over time with certain songs for me that maybe in the moment when there's a lot of hype around it, you kind of maybe fade away from it.
If you start out loving it, it can fall away.
Yeah.
I've not yet had one that I'm like not sure and it grows and then I love it. It doesn't wane afterwards for some reason.
Okay. I think just to add to the conversation as well, but the whole like maybe not enjoying songs on first listen, it can very much so depend on the environment in which you're actually listening to the song as well. A lot of the time I'm listening to like chaotic deathcore shit sitting at my desk, and it's not really the intended environment for a song like that. So it's very hard to properly get into. And obviously I will lose my shit in certain moments, but like there's been many a song that...
So it's only when you go to a graveyard and you cover yourself with soot, you're like, now I love it.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like, there'll just be certain environments where there'll be like a particular moment in a song that all of a sudden you're driving through some country roads and then you're like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
It's just like a moment where it clicks and then you kind of see it in a completely different light. It's like a different part of your brain just gets opened up to it.
Yeah, so Steve, listen to Melancholic on a night drive.
Yeah,
it's definitely that
in
kind
a
of
Mustang,
song.
preferably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
I mean,
call my brother.
The working title of that song was literally Night Drive. And
Yeah,
I
makes sense.
remember us having like the discussion when we changed the name. It was like, should we keep the name? And then I was like, no, it's just like a little bit too on the nose. You know, we have a Night Drive song. It's called Night Drive. And the music video is us driving in the night with a Mustang. Maybe it's just...
Yeah. Sick. Was there any... Oh, sorry, bro, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, speaking of like expectations and things that, you know, you're going into like a band or a song, and one band dropped a song recently, and my expectations, I guess, are like, I always like hearing the next evolution, and that's why I guess I love your music. Vianova is like, you never know what you're going to get with each song. But with this band, I'm like, okay, come on, please do something a little bit differently. And then I heard it, I'm like, oh, it's more of the same. It's a little bit different, but it's not that much of a change for me. Was the new Lorna Shore song. So I liked it because Lorna Shore is just quality deathcore. They're just an insanely talented band. I guess I was just hoping for something sonically that surprised me with that song. And the things that I came out with were that there was less blast beats. So Drew, I think you put like Masterpiece or something in your song. So you liked it, right? A lot?
Well, no, I kind of framed it as, because pretty much for like, since I've been listening to Lorna Shore, everyone is like, everything they put out is a masterpiece. So I was kind of framing it in the idea of, is this going to be another masterpiece? And yeah, like, I mean, I'm not exactly the Lorna Shore fan. Prototype isn't the word, but you know what I'm getting at. I'm not exactly the guy who's known for being really into Lorna Shore. I've been pretty not critical of the band because it's just not really for me. You know, it's just not really my thing. Anything that is completely filled for the most part with blast beats just kind of switches my brain off a little bit. And I just feel like that style of deathcore isn't really for me. I think I like, with deathcore for the most part, get in and get out. Like, give me 2.5 minutes of just an absolute blitz and then it'd be over. But like 8 minutes is just, for the most part.
Is it 8 minutes?
It's like 8.5 minutes or some shit like that, yeah.
But
so it's
the music video is Versa Films, who works on Spirit Box and stuff. So the music video is really nice. And
yeah,
but the song, Alex, are you a big deathcore guy? You got some deathcore vocals, I feel like, at times, so let's go.
Yeah, I used to have a deathcore phase, but like when I had my really big technique vocal phase, like deathcore was super interesting, and there was like this wave of deathcore with primarily when like Infant Annihilator were the craziest thing. Like that was such a cool like era for me personally, like Infant Annihilator, Traders, Enterprise Earth, I think. Also Hiatus Murder. I like one time at a show I had at a Hiatus Murder show, I brought a sign. I was like, I'm a vocalist, let me scream Holy War, and like they took me on stage. I did the song. So like that was my peak deathcore moment back in the day. So yeah, I definitely had a phase, but like yeah, at a certain point, I don't know, it's probably like with a lot of stuff where you just like get overstimulated and you like grow too aware of a few tropes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and then you kind of like take a dip out. Like when they release or something happens, like I'm tuning in, and I'm also like checking stuff out just because I think it's interesting, just to know what's up with Lorna Shore. Also, I think I dipped my toe in the new single, but like for me, it's also I think I just don't vibe with the vibe right now.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, that's why I like Disembodied Tyrant so much. They're changing up the sound deathcore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also Psycho Frame.
Psycho Frame's sweet too, man. Yeah, I like them too.
Psycho Frame are sick. Yeah.
It's like the new bands that in deathcore that are exciting me. Oh, actually, Shadow of Intent's pretty fucking sick too.
Yeah.
They got the riffs.
I forgot
good,
those.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw them live too. Yeah, Bandor, fucking legend, man. Crazy shit.
Speaking of deathcore, Alex, am I wrong? Are you guys touring with Northlane and Whitechapel, or did I just
We're
make that up?
we're doing 3 shows with them in June, which are like the first time. No. We once we opened up for Brand of Sacrifice like 1
Right.
or 2 years ago.
Oh, they're awesome.
But this, yeah, super cool band. Also very good live. Yeah, first time like doing that stuff, which is crazy.
That's
like
a
Northlane,
insane random headline. Like I couldn't believe Northlane and Whitechapel were co-headlining. Does that make any sense to anyone else?
Wait, they're
No,
co-headlining?
that's out there.
co-headlining. It's crazy.
Is that what you said? They're
literally
co-headlining?
co-headlining? Yeah.
It makes sense though, because like here in we have like festival season here in Europe. There are a lot of like outdoor festivals, and like with those bands, usually they do a few like shows in between just to fill in the time and make some money, and like that is exactly the case. Like there are more shows they are doing with like different kind of openers. I have friends of mine who are like playing another part of the tour, like Half Me are playing in Prague with them. And like other bands doing that as well. So we like secured a small fraction of the shows, which is super sick. And like, we'll be like, let's see if we can stand our ground with the Masters.
Oh, you guys will do great.
Yeah, I feel
Especially
like
with the Northlane crowd.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
make
I
a
can
lot
see
of
it
sense to be kind of rammed in between those two bands, because I seen the co-headline of those two being together, and it made no sense to me whatsoever. But I'm sure it'll be sick.
But then the audience these days like a bit of
yeah.
variety. When the Northlane toured the UK, they did it with Novelists and 1056, which is like fucking deathcore rap. And it worked because people are kind of open to more interesting experiences, I think, at this stage musically. Which is good.
Very French.
Yeah, and sometimes a lot of those things can also be like a little bit of behind the doors, like politics, where like somebody like they're the same management, or they have the one booker knows the other booker, and they're aware of the schedules, and they're like, okay, it would probably make sense to like put you guys on that tour, right?
Yeah.
There's another excellent band. It's one of my favorite albums of this year, and it's top 3 easy, is Novelists' latest album. Have you folks heard that?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh man, yeah, it's great.
Really good.
Holy shit. Like, it's kind of, what I love about it is it's metalcore. It's like, it's not trying to do anything completely wild, but it's executed so very well. There's enough little surprises. It's got that great balance for me of surprises and yet delivering on expectation and satisfying. And maybe that's what you're talking about a little bit with Melanchronica. It's like, you could have done a crazy breakdown moment that's completely different, but there's something satisfying about just coming in on this long screen thing. It might seem simple to you, but maybe that payoff is the balance that the audience might have appreciated at that time. And I think Novelists have done a great job at that, and that's worked. What the feedback on the album from folks in my community and the rest has also been similarly positive. For that.
I've got some tea to add here. Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun. Like, also shout out Novelists. They are so talented, and like you can like see it with the live stuff as well. And I'm really happy for the new record because it's so good. And the one thing that nobody knows in the grander scheme of things, but I will leak it. There was a time when they knew that Toby like would leave the band, and Nicola, the bassist, he was an A&R at a label, and I sent him our stuff because I knew that he was working there, and I knew him through a friend of mine because he used to live in Berlin, but just a little bit. And he was like, oh, the music is a little bit too genty for my taste, but like, the vocals are really cool, He also mixed one of our singles like way in the day. He was like, yeah, you guys really improved. I have the secret project. I hope I'm not airing too much laundry, but I think it's fine. I have the secret project that are looking for a singer. Maybe you want to like try out. Here's the song I wrote for the song. Turns out it was Novelists. So I actually auditioned for being the singer, way before, like not way, like before they had Camille, and like I tried that out, and like I did a few, like one song even made it onto the album. That was super interesting to see, and it was so interesting because like I got a glimpse into their world, and it's just crazy because like all of them are producers, all of them are just like crazy at their instruments, super driven band. And like I know that it was just a tough time for them, and like when like it didn't work out for them, but also like I was super like I was like I think I'm too unexperienced, I'm not sure if this vibe fits. So it wasn't really like, I wasn't really like not stoked. It was just super cool to just like try it out and like get a glimpse into the world. And then when they found Camille, like I could sense, like, because I kind of like saw a little bit of the emotion before, like I could sense that they are back and that they are just excited about music again, because like they've been like deep into their career, and just like changing singers so often is like, so like it's hard for bands, and like fans were giving them a tough time. And like I'm just super happy for them. Like I'm not super like close with the band or anything, but like you can tell that they're stoked. You can tell that there's like, and that's something that's sometimes missing with bands that are like so far into their discography, where sometimes you feel like the fire's kind of gone. And with this record, you're like they're back. You know, they have the passion, and they are like putting it out there. You can hear that. Like I hope I didn't like air too much laundry. I think I was like, cool about that, but
it's fascinating to hear some of the behind the scenes. But there's no, this thing, it happens in the film industry as well. Various people will audition for the same part. Someone gets it. Doesn't mean like, you should never say. Like it's interesting. It's an interesting part of it, and you could see how if they were to kind of lift and shift a similar, male vocalist in, it might be they'd go on the similar track and make more songs the same. And it seems like they're very open to basically letting Camille bring whatever inspiration she wants to come in, with you dancing in videos or like the kind of Spanish rap in one of the songs. And that's part of what's probably relit their fire, is to kind of have an injection of something new and different.
Yeah.
The Spanish section is sweet.
Yeah, it was sick. Also, Alex, something I wanted to ask you as well with the new song. You've performed that. Have you got many? I know you've at least performed that once live, right? The new song, whatever. All right.
Yeah. We did 4 shows now.
Okay.
In Germany, like we opened for The Narrator, another German band. Shout out to The Narrator for taking us on those 4 shows. It was sick. And first time performing new songs. We had a majority of our set was new songs. Like only Hypersomnic was an old one, and we performed whatever, like even before it was out. Like 1 year before the song came out, we already played it. Wow. Yeah, the reaction was cool. Yeah. The club felt sexy.
How have you found, I guess the way I describe the vocals in the like verses is very like nonchalant. I guess that's probably a fair enough way of describing it from my perspective anyway. But how have you found performing that style of vocal? Did I just disconnect? I have no idea if I'm still here.
You're back. You're fine.
You're good.
You're back. Yeah. There was a millisecond. It was just.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
You're on.
I froze completely there. I have no idea what just happened. Did I finish my sentence?
Yeah.
You're good, man.
Okay, we're good.
Alex, take it away.
I'm back.
I mean, that song was super interesting just because we wrote it so quickly. That's something that doesn't happen a lot. And like with that one, there was the first kind of minute was looming around in our drive, and I was listening to just a wide array of music that like was fitting the vibe. And like I just did the intro, right? And at first in the first demo, I had like a part of just like doing scream vocals about the first main riff, just like going just screamy, and that would have been like a very normal kind of intro, and we could have done it that way. But like as the song evolved, we were like, maybe that's not cool. Maybe it's cooler if we delay it a bit more. And then like we had it like for like first 1.5 minutes, like no screams. And then there's the second drop where like the riff goes even crazier and harder. And I was like, we were like, okay, now's the time to do the screams. And I was like,
yeah.
And we heard it and we're like, it's not cooler, it's not better. It's not like the vibe is cooler if we don't do it. And then we kept pushing it. And at a certain point, it was just like, okay, now's the time to actually do it. And it just felt right, so that's how we got there. Just like, trusting the intuition and our taste, I guess. And that's how it happened. But it was still kind of daunting because like in the demo, everything sounds kind of worse. So and that's a vocal style where like I'm not doing that a lot. It's not really like it shouldn't be challenging, but in a way it kind of is, because you like I know that it can sound shit very fast. You know, it can sound very uncool very fast. And to some people listening to that, they're like, it already sounds uncool, man. You should have seen it. But like I did like I think in the recording I did like 3 versions of it, just like in different pitches, just and like the guys also like feedbacked a lot, and were like, oh yeah, no, like in the demo you kind of like, you know, you did this a little bit like higher, and maybe so like it's still like it was a challenge to make it happen in a way that feels satisfied, but even there like just chasing vibes and doing what feels good.
You know what's one of the funniest comments about the song is people calling it baby no metal.
I love that one.
It's funny because I told you guys, Drew and Steve, about one of my favorite artists of last year on Spotify was Baby No Money.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys are doing like Baby No Metal. It's sweet.
Yeah, the Hypersomniac music video was actually inspired by one of his videos. So like
what?
The history
Really?
Like he has this kind of
I think I know
him dancing, and it's like changing the frame, but he's still in the middle. Yeah, we were like,
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Interesting.
Now, if there's a big thing we have not talked about yet, which we're going to talk about in just a second. Before we do, if you haven't subscribed to this podcast yet, what are you're a minute, you're a whole hour in. Now's the time to subscribe. But there's a whole thing we haven't talked about, which is that song, Whatever All Right, was so massively impactful that it made Nik Nocturnal quit the internet. That was... I mean, that's wild. You were the last song he reacted to, and then he was like, "I'm out. Nothing can beat this." I'm speaking for him. He didn't say this. Like, nothing could beat this. I'm out. How do you feel?
There was one comment on the recent reaction edit that I did, which was like, "This song put Nick in his well-deserved slumber." Like I was thinking about should I like caption it and be like, yeah, you know, this song made Nick quit, but it felt kind of disrespectful just because like I was like, you know, he was going through shit, so maybe I don't know, I don't want to do that, but like that was so hilarious. And even Josh Lever commented, he was like, missed opportunity, and he would have probably appreciated it. Yeah. So yeah, but it was so like crazy to have that. Honestly, it was very funny. And like we had a hard time getting on a stream. Like I remember like every single, we're like, oh, are we on Nick's stream? And like we didn't make it, and like this time, last fucking song, man. So. Yeah. Shout out Nick. I hope he's like sitting in the sun and chilling.
Yeah. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's chilling. Well, I guess that was like, again, just to give you some props with the marketing as well. I seen that and I was like, that's just you guys have like, although you are very good musically, you also have that content creator brain. It was just genius. It was like such a hot topic, like actually way bigger. I know Nick's a huge deal in the scene, but I couldn't believe the amount of articles and shit that I'd seen over someone saying they were going to take a break. I was like, this is mental. But for you guys to like jump on it, and like not in a disrespectful way, you just jumped on it and were like, Nick's last reaction, I thought that was like genius because his face was everywhere, and then he was still checking out the song like right before he quit, so it made sense. So props again for that one. That was
some amount of luck involved in that. And also I don't know, I think like at our core we're like creative people, and it's just like we have to like kind of choose where we just apply our creativity, and that also probably applies to you guys where like, and I can sense it where like if I'm doing a lot of music, my mind is like in music mode, and when I do a lot of content, I'm like my creativity and my ideas shift to content ideas, which also can be bad because I'm like I want to do music and not like just make content all the time, but it just happens.
It is tricky. You can have ideas like, oh, this is kind of trendy right now. I do have an opinion on this, but is it going to be actually long-term constructive or useful? Sometimes I'm like, no, I'm just going to leave that where it is.
Yeah, with Nick's departure, I didn't even fully watch his video because I was away. I did read his Instagram post. I did leave a comment on his YouTube video, but like I didn't get around to fully watching it. But I think we all understand the burnout feel. Like Alex, you were talking about it with just doing live shows, writing music, and creating content, and we were just talking about, you know, I was mentioning earlier the self-doubt kind of stuff, and I hope that he really takes the break that he absolutely deserves. He's the legend in the scene. A lot of us, you know, are inspired by some of the stuff that he's done. So I really hope that he takes a break, because like for me, I just mentioned that I took a break to British Columbia and I was barely on my phone for a week, and honestly it felt so good. It felt amazing. You know, I left a comment on his post saying that it's more important to find meaning like outside on like the offline world than it is, you know, online. Although like this is his life, is being online. Like I don't know what's exactly going on with him, that he needs it or if he just needs a break, but yeah, I really hope that he finds that meaning offline.
Yeah, I think it's no bad thing for, I'm assuming he'll take a break. Who fucking knows? I'm assuming he's going to take a break for a few weeks, then come back and do some more stuff. But like, it's important, I think, for people to also recognize that it's not just a given that someone like him is going to be there week in, week out and make stuff forever. Like it takes a lot, and it's no bad thing for him to get a bit of appreciation for the importance he has in the scene. And like, I was reflecting on it myself. He's a reason why I started doing my channel. He's one of the first ones I saw. I saw reaction content before I saw his, but he was the first one I watched it and was like, that's the vibe. That's how I would want to do it if I was making it. I'd want to have not pause the song. Like he's one of the first ones I saw doing that. And like actually adding some bits and pieces and have like a live sort of expression of what's in your head as you're listening. So he's definitely an inspiration to me starting this thing in the first place, which is a nicer way of saying I saw it and went, I can do that.
I hope he takes more than 2 weeks, because using the term like indefinite hiatus, that seems like it's going to be like some time. But, there are times where like creators do say like taking a break and, they're done and then they come back like 3 weeks later. So, but yeah,
I'm hoping it's not just here's a video that can highlight this EP I'm dropping thing. I don't think it would be like he seems like he can fucking do with the time off.
Yeah, it sounded like a thought out plan. Like we were hoping to get him on the podcast at some point. We reached out and like he was very thankful for like us asking him on, and he seemed to have maybe listened to a few episodes or whatever. But I guess he told me in advance that this was going to happen, so I'd kind of known about it like 2 weeks before, and I was like, okay, I don't really know. He didn't go into much detail about it, but he was like, I'm kind of essentially quitting. So yeah, man, it was kind of like the way it was phrased. I don't know. Sometimes because of how much it's blown up, I feel like sometimes if people make these videos, maybe sometimes it's like you get so lost in everything you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes when you step back a little bit and then you see the flood of, oh my God, look what I've actually just created. Maybe it will spark something in his head at some point. Now, this is me trying to be like, Nick, come back. But, it might spark something in his head. Yeah, still go ahead, take the break, however long you need. Go away for 6 months. But it might just trigger something in his head that maybe is like, you know what? Take the time I need. And there's clear, like the outreach was insane. I was seeing articles from like mainstream, like metal thing. I was like, this is insane. Like he's obviously very talented from a musicianship standpoint, but like he's ultimately, he's built his thing from being a content creator. I was like, this is a content creator being on the, there's all sorts of articles. Everyone's talking about him. The actual support he got is insane. So maybe there might be a part of that could ignite a part of his brain and say, you know what? I'll take my time and, I'll be back. Who knows?
Yeah, we will see. I mean, I think it's also, I think everything that is so like demands a sacrifice, and you guys probably know what it's just like to chase the algorithm and like put out content and like stay on top. And like with him having such a big channel and like being so present, I mean, he's done streams, YouTube videos, YouTube reactions, short form, that's his own music. Like he said this, that like he's doing so much. And that's something that I noticed with a lot of my peers who are like in different avenues in their life, be it like maybe like designers or like artists, or also like some musicians, where like there comes a certain point where you can clearly tell that something is not getting as much attention. Like, they're like paying quite early on, that maybe a girlfriend is like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore, I'm quitting, something like that, or like family members, or like I had this with a friend recently who was like, he's grinding away at his album and like putting his all into it, and they're like friends of his who are like, you haven't talked to us in such a long time, and like they're like, the friction is happening there, and if you're like doing that for the amount of time that he's doing at this level, it can only get more intense. So I think it's very like reasonable, and we don't really know what's going on. So yeah, maybe it's good that now he can just like level up the other skill trees of his life and have something that's balanced. And if he comes back, I hope like he's not doing the same volume, because that's just not sustainable, I think.
And like you were saying too, the stuff behind the scenes. So I'm sure this relates to bands a lot, because there's a lot of inner politics that people don't know, the fans don't know, and that with content creators too. Like there's so much that happens with our regular lives that people only see like 5% of who we actually are, and there could be I had my grandma pass away like last year, and that was a weird thing to deal with. And like, do I share it publicly or do I just kind of hide it under wraps? And I decided to share it publicly, but then I almost kind of regretted it because like it felt like it was like too much that I was sharing. So it's this weird like line that I kind of balance between letting people know what's going on behind the scenes, but also you don't want to put up this facade that everything's okay all the time. I think that's one thing that people don't realize with the content creation is that you're always trying to make good videos. You're always trying to outperform your videos too and just create better content. But like, not every day is a good day. And what are you just supposed to like, put a facade and lie about it? Or are you going to be truthful? And people also can tell like, oh, your content's not as good. And that might be because there's a lot of shit going on behind the scenes that you need to take care of, but you're so fixated on the hamster wheel of algorithm. But yeah, just interesting food for thought with the content creation and Burnout. And hopefully Nik takes care of himself.
I hope you guys take care of yourselves also.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too deep, but like, I am on the edge. No, I'm fine.
Me too, brother. Me too.
If I say it more times,
all of us
you'll believe me.
Cooked
just like I'm a parent of young kids and I have a full-time job and I'll do the YouTube stuff. I basically don't take breaks. Every day is just full tilt because I'm trying to build this thing so that I can only focus on this and not do the other jobs.
Yeah, but you have to have...
I'm managing.
There is a period of everything where you can kind of be self-aware to realize that there's kind of moments where you need to just step on the fucking gas and just go and be like, okay, look, let's push through this barrier. But I think again, that self-awareness needs to step in at some point and be like, okay, I'm probably going to burn out at some point. I feel like that's a skill that is one of the most important things with longevity and content creation, is being able to see yourself and be like, okay, am I enjoying what I'm doing right now? Mm-hmm. Not really. How can I maybe do less of the thing I'm enjoying, especially what we do? I mean, we have the fucking, I can speak for myself and Bird, but like we do the dream job for a lot of people for a living. So it's like, to me, I want to keep going because I'm like, why would I stop? Like people would kill for this opportunity to do this, but you actually have to just say no to yourself sometimes. I found myself like, I fucking don't upload as much as I should on YouTube, but there's a reason behind that. It's because I know that sometimes I feel like I should be uploading a lot, but I'm like, I don't really want to push this out. I'm not like 100% satisfied with this video. Maybe it was just like my thoughts weren't on par with what I would have liked it to be, or I just wasn't really vibing with it, but I know I should put this video out. So I just kind of try and adopt the mindset of just, if it feels right in that moment, just go with it. I don't try and like battle with these things too much, because otherwise that's when burnout really kicks in.
I got to a point where like, it's self-sustained, just like what you're saying. You have to like push through it. So now it got to a point where I can take a vacation last week and I was barely on my phone, and it doesn't really matter. Like this week is still going to be the exact same. And Steve, we just want you to be full-time at one point. You have that YouTube plaque behind you and everything.
Patreon!
Patreon! Subscribe to our Patreon.
Steve. Yes.
We'll get there one day for you, Steve.
Yeah, it's probably 1 to 2 years, I think, is probably the most realistic. So until then, I'll just keep
Unless
burning.
You guys go to the description and we can steamroll this thing to 6 months. Let's go.
Yes, all of that.
But have you considered feed pics? Selling feed pics? Have you
feed pics? Yeah, I'll just start an OnlyFans.
You lot are on the fucking ball.
Yeah.
Where do you think those rings came from, man?
Yeah, Vianova feed pics, bro.
Nice, I'm in. Sign me up.
I think, to stay on the serious side just for a moment, though, the problem might be that content creation is generally a solo activity. Mm-hmm. So it is rare, I think, for someone to have that skill, as Drew put it, be like, know themselves and I need to stop. You're more likely to be able to do that if you have other people in your real life that you connect with, and they can look at you and go like, hey, man, how are you doing? Yeah. And they can objectively go like, maybe take a little break, because it's hard when you're in it, enjoying it, to know actually we're going over a cliff here. Yeah. So hopefully in your world, Alexander, do you have some of that with your bandmates? You can kind of look out for each other as you go along, or does it feel solo endeavor sometimes?
I mean, it's hard. I don't know. It really depends. In a way, like as Drew said, there are phases where you just have to step on the gas, and like we're pretty much in that phase right now. But I'm very aware of I'm trying to be aware of like the sustainability, just because like I know there is like a certain point of not going back. Like their friendship, if you don't maintain them, they're gone. You know what I mean? There's just the fact they're like parts of maybe a side professional life, which if you don't maintain them, they're also gone. But the problem is, like, if you're trying to maintain everything, it's also fucking hard. That's what I'm trying to do, and it's like, it's just overall hard. But you can't forget that, like, we're just like trying to do something that's like not ordinary. You know what I mean? So you are likely to just take away that is like that doesn't feel natural most of the time, and like it really depends, because like when I'm with friends that that are not doing what I'm doing, I can tell that maybe it's just different, and maybe I'm sometimes stepping overboard. But on the other side, there are people in my surroundings that are doing the exact same thing, and I can tell that it's working for them. You know what I mean? It's just like if you're in a certain circle, it's kind of like, you're adapting in a way. But I also know that there's a certain point where they're also not doing well. So I think it's just, you have to be aware of so many things probably early on, and just like have to balance it out well. I mean, it's like that with everything, and I think it's a timeless tale. I mean, we've heard it time and time again of people like, way down their career where they're developing mental health problems, or like you're aware of like, oh fuck, they're really depressed, or there was a time where people were at the peak of their success and they weren't really doing good, and it's just important to be aware of that. But sometimes it's so hard. I don't know, maybe you have like input on that, because there are moments where you are feeling like shit and you have to push through because there is something on the other end. It's just, but sometimes there isn't. Sometimes you're just like working your ass off, and maybe it does work, but you're losing like maybe a good friend just because,
I had like a very, I guess, relatable experience to what you're talking about there recently. Well, it's kind of been something that I've been monitoring over the past couple of years, like since I've been doing YouTube, but I actually developed really bad repetitive strain injury from the amount of time I was spending on my computer editing videos and shit, and just constantly being on my computer all the time. So that was kind of like a big wake up call for me, where I was like, I don't want to have like insanely bad arthritis when I'm like, in fucking 10 years. So I was like, I actually need to step away, otherwise I'm going to fuck myself. Because I was like feeling extreme pain up here. Like I was like, this could be like carpal tunnel level kind of shit. I was like, this is not good. And I was feeling that from like maybe 2 years into doing YouTube, because I used to edit my videos on my phone. So like I would literally be doing all these minute little cuts and stuff, and I'd be like doing it all day. And you guys know how obsessive you can be about like analytics and stuff. So I was spending ridiculous amounts of time on computers, screens, constantly on my phone. I also box as well. So everything is just, and then in my spare time I was gaming. It was like my arms were cooked. So I was like, I need to pull back on something. So sometimes, I don't want to say it's like a blessing in disguise, but it kind of was in a way. I was like, this is a physical thing that's coming from what will probably eventually be a mental thing if I don't look after it. So it's kind of forced me to be like, okay, look, I still do a lot and I probably should do a bit less, but it kind of made me realize all of this is very fun right now and I love doing it. That's why I do it so much. But this won't be a thing if I don't have arms that work. So I was like, let's step away from this for a bit. So that was kind of my wake up call, and it's definitely gotten a lot better, but it's something that I can come back very quickly if you have like a couple of days where you're like, oh, I'm going to be editing all day and not paying attention to anything else. So that was my little thing.
I had the same thing actually.
Wow.
Carpal tunnel bros.
Yeah, put on the sunglasses. Do it right now.
Sunglasses on.
Let's fucking go. The carpal tunnel sunglasses.
It's got to be sustainable. If you enjoy something, you can overcook it. You got to find a way to make it sustainably enjoyable. And I'm presuming that is something of what you're doing with the world of Vianova and your creativity and your innovation and the songwriting you're doing and keeping it weird and getting interesting. And that's going to make it sustainable for you. Because as you know, numbers might go up and down, but as long as you can stand beside your music and go, I fucking love that. I'm pleased at how that turned out. That will sustain you. And if you keep fucking having the amazing songs you've been releasing that a variety of people have enjoyed in different ways, everyone's got a different favorite song, that kind of thing, I think it's going to work out just fine.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Amen,
Let's see about
brother.
that.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen, brothers.
Well, thank you so much for your time here, Alexander. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see if anything can topple Whatever All Right from the top spot of my Songs of the Year list. We'll fucking see. It's going to take a lot. I thought it was an excellent song.
Yeah.
I won't say anything on that, but like we've got a few aces up our sleeves still.
Nice.
Great. Stay tuned. We'll add some links in the description to Vianova's social platforms so you can keep up to date with their excellent memes, but more importantly, the music and tours and things. So do check that out. Thank you for enjoying this podcast. Hopefully see you in another episode.
Can I add one thing?
Soon. Yeah.
I want to rep 3 bands. If you like melodic death metal or like progressive death metal, check out Changeling. If you want to listen to gent that's Indian, listen to Arlon, all very small bands. And if you want German, local, super sick avant-garde metal, listen to Cora Winter. So like with K. I just want to like rep some bands.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
please.
Nice.
Respect it.
Yeah.
Go look them up.
Let's go.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Legend.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you so much, man.
By the way, we try to record a bonus episode every time we do a normal episode for the podcast, and that exists on our Patreon page for backstage members only. And Alexander actually stayed for this one, so we have a chat about what it means to be part of the metal community, and some very deep and meaningful answers. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, check out the link in our description. Join our Patreon as a backstage member for extra exclusive content only for that part of the internet. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to this episode.